Welcome back to the channel. My name is Shelby, aka 88 Fox. Today we are working on the Ford Courier that's getting the TDI swap. Today we're going to be digging into the actual TDI motor and the transmission. So I already got it separated. I did a lot of cleanup, but it's still not perfect. But yeah, we need to get everything prepped so it can go in the Courier and then not have to deal with that aspect anymore, at least for right now. But get everything back up and going so that we can start doing wiring, all the other necessary stuff that needs to be done. But yeah, the way that we're going to start this out, I'm going to go ahead and tackle the transmission first. If you saw any of the previous videos, well, the video before last that's based on the Courier, I had to notch out a spot for the starter to fit on the transmission. So that spot is right here. Obviously it's not the most gorgeous thing in the world, but it got to where I had some distance to get the starter itself actually mounted. But in case you don't know how the starter works, your flywheel sits right in this area, and your starter, when it engages, it pulls out and spins. So pulls, spins. So if you look, this still pulls out probably 3/4 of an inch or so. And we do not have that kind of space on our transmission. So gonna go ahead and notch this out probably a whole 3/4 of an inch or so, so that we can just be done with that, and that portion of the project will be done. Then I'm going to go ahead and put the new hydraulic clutch, words. The new hydraulic master cylinder in there. I'm not going to do it yet. I'm going to wait till I get all this notched out because there's going to be some debris and stuff. We'll put that new hydraulic cylinder in there, and then the transmission portion of this will be done. So then I can kind of throw that off to the side, and then we'll be able to get started on the motor. A couple things I'm going to need to do are, obviously, if you look at it, it just needs a ton of cleanup. If you saw my last video, I bought a abrasive blaster from Harbor Freight. It works pretty good. The only problem is this is all the air compressor that I have. So 26 gallon, just not very good air compressor. If you look, this is what's important right here. So the SCFM, this is only 4 at 90 psi. What the sand, I call it a sand blaster, so, but the abrasive blaster once is at least 9 at 90 psi. So yeah, I don't have enough of an air compressor. I actually just found on Facebook Marketplace an 80 gallon that's got like 12, and it's a big boy, 230 volt 3-phase, all the good stuff. So temporarily, at least, I'll be able to, if I get it, I'll be able to put it in over there, and then yeah, we'd go from there. But I'm not going to do that just yet. That's an expensive little endeavor to get that. So yeah, we won't be sandblasting or abrasive blasting or whatever you want to call it. We're just going to try to clean it up real nicely. This original dipstick tube was broken, so I got to replace that. I'm going to clean up and re-nozzle the injectors, and then I think all I really have left to do, oh yeah, so need to clean this up. This is where your original oil filtration system goes. What I'm going to do is I'm going to be using this guy, which is a White Bread Performance oil reload kit, and it comes with all my provisions. So the sand return and auxiliary, the turbo fuel or the turbo oil sensor, and I don't know what VW switch is, but I'm guessing that stands for Volkswagen. But I already took the old plug out, put it in there, so that part of it's done. It just literally needs to be cleaned up, gasketed, and put on. What else do I got? Some other goodies over here. So here's the nozzles that I'll be upgrading to right there. I don't have the details on those offhand. I got all these parts from the person that I actually bought the Volkswagen from. Here's the injectors, obviously pretty dirty, need to be cleaned up, but yeah, that's them. Other good stuff. So I've got a new intake manifold. The problem is these bolts on to a different turbo, like that one. Actually, that would be the perfect one. But from my understanding, this turbo does not work. So we'll have to see about that. If I can get away with it, I'm just going to put the original turbo setup back on there. If I have to, maybe I can flip it up and go from there. Yeah, and this is just all the parts for the actual motor, which is a lot of them. So here's your, well, I don't need that anymore because I replaced it with that. Here's your intake. Yeah, there's the original oil filter kit down there. There's your EGR and everything, which I'll be blocking off. So there won't be any kind of Dieselgate emissions in this particular project. Here's the original dipstick tube. Like I said, it was broken. I've got another one over there. These are either, I believe these are oil lines. I have to double check. No, I think these are fuel lines. Yep, maybe. We'll see. I don't know. We're just going to go through it piece by piece. I have everything that I need. I just need to get it cleaned up and put together. Oh yeah, and there's my beautiful little wiring harness. So everything's here. It just needs to be done. So transmission first, engine second. So that's where we're going to go. All right, we will be back once I get the transmission portion of this cleaned up. See ya. And that is a wrap for the transmission portion of this. So as you can see, we got a little better cleaned up in here. I've got the new hydraulic, whatever, throwout bearing in there. And then also cleaned up around the outside of it. That way I can make sure I got a good connection and seal or whatever to the motor. And then yeah, so got this portion notched out. Looks a lot better than version 1, doesn't it? Spent a little extra time just kind of cleaning it up, making sure everything was nice and smooth. So it's a lot more prettier. Once you get past this bulky part of the transmission, it's really pretty simple. So thin right there. Yep. But luckily there's no real pressure that's going to be developed right in there, so it should be fine. There's kind of what it looks like on the inside, so it's nicely cleaned up, and that's about kind of your thickness right there, as you can probably see. So that part is wrapped up. Might end up doing a little bit of extra cleaning, I don't know. We'll see how crazy I get. But transmission portion is wrapped up for now. So now get to move on to the actual motor portion of it. I'm not going to hook it up to one of my engine hoists or whatever you call it. Yep. But I'm just gonna sit here and just start cleaning it up, getting it nice and well, not nice and shined up, but getting it shined up a little bit, at least enough to where I can get everything bolted on that I need to get bolted on. And then yeah, before we actually put the transmission on there, I need to put the clutch and flywheel assembly on there, which is all right here. And I even went one step ahead and got some brand new, flywheel bolts. So we're gonna do it right, but it's cleanup time, and then we'll get the oil relocation kit on there, and then yeah, start running some lines, making some custom AN lines, and then we'll get ready to bolt this bad boy back together. So soon. Okay. It may not look like it, but I did actually do a lot of cleanup on this. And then I got the oil filter adapter thingamajigger installed. If you notice, I got a missing bolt though. So that bolt is right here. These only allowed like 2 threads to go in, so I did actually strip it out. Not to worry though, I'm gonna go back to the parts store tomorrow or the next day and get some slightly larger bolts. Then we'll get that bolt replaced, and then I'm just going to go ahead and replace the other 3 mounting bolts with some longer hardware too. Then I got my return, my send, VW switch, I guess stands for the oil pressure switch, and then the turbo feed, and then the little auxiliary additional that's just plugged up for now. So that's pretty much wrapped up. Just need to get some bigger bolts, replace them all, and call it good. Yeah, it's still way dirty, but whatever. Maybe I'll see if I can pressure wash it at some point. And then just gonna replace this dipstick tube. And then we're on to this side, which not a lot looks like it's going on over here. I did clean up all this area for the intake and exhaust. I believe this is the exhaust. Yep. And then these would be for the intake. So as long as the turbo, which I'll find out pretty soon, doesn't interfere with this starter, and then as well interfere with this, or give me enough room in this motor mount to be able to be installed, and I shouldn't have any problems just utilizing the stock equipment for now. So I'm gonna test that first, see if it all fits, then I'll take it back off, hopefully with it all fitting correctly, and then I'll just clean it up, and then we'll bolt everything up. I got new gaskets and everything for it as well, so bolt that up, and then we'll be good to start kind of assembly. So I'll need to, what is that? Oh yeah, that's the coolant sensor thing. And then we'll be good to start assembly. So I'll go ahead and make a custom AN line to go from the turbo feed to the turbo itself, and then start working on putting the flywheel and then clutch assembly onto the adapter plate, and then hopefully get it all hunky-dory. Let's see. Yep. So little cleanup to do, and then I'm gonna hopefully just have all this stuff bolt straight back up, and then we should be pretty good. I'll have to figure out some custom hose situation set up for coolant hoses and stuff, but all that can be done once the motor's actually in the car. Look at all this crap. I don't even know what all these brackets are for. But I'm not taking them off right now because I don't know what they're for. So, yeah, still got some work to do. But we're off to the other side, and hopefully we'll have it all squared away pretty soon. All right. Well, we've reached a conundrum. So this is the original cast manifold turbo for this motor from a VW Bug. If you look on the motor mount side, well, let's see. If you look on the motor mount side, it's hitting right here, which is fine because I can just turn this to where I need it. So I'd probably just bring it out this direction. That's not the big problem. The big problem is right here. So this is the exhaust outlet from the turbo. The stud hits the back of the starter, which is fine. I can just, trim that off. But like, we have no space in between the actual starter and the turbo itself. Now, let's see. When you cinch this up, even you still have, as you can see, just a hair of space. So it's not going to be enough for me to be able to comfortably put an exhaust that close to the actual starter motor itself. And unfortunately, I can't lower the starter to a lower point because then the starter would interfere with the actual frame of the Courier. So I reached out to the TDI Swaps Facebook page and see if they got any ideas. To be honest, I would just really like to get rid of this whole cast solution in general and go with a different solution. I asked if there was like a DIY style kit that you could order and then maybe go with a different turbo. I don't know. Unfortunately, we're going to have to spend money at this point, I think, but I am going to go ahead and cut that stud down a little bit and try to rethread it a little bit and just see if I can get a little bit of extra clearance out there. But I don't think we're going to be successful in that realm, which sucks. But here we are. And then if anything, maybe I'll just kind of go real quick, angle up out this direction, and then we can see if we can get a temporary solution going while I wait or build a permanent solution, at least so we can just get the motor in there and get it running. But who knows? We'll figure it out. So I will go ahead and take this manifold off. I'm going to grind this bottom stud down just a little bit, and then we'll go ahead and rotate. I can't clock it. We're going to clock this out this direction. That way I can figure out then at that point what I want to do for an intake setup and then get it bolted back on. So that's what we're going to do for now while I figure out a different solution for this. So yeah, hey look, got the little Audi logo. Volkswagen Audi. All right, well, I hopefully will return back with some better results. It's a new day. It's less cold than it was yesterday. I had to stop because I was frustrated and I was cold. So it's a new day. I did some research over the night and ended up getting everything to work. So I still got the stock turbo on there, stock turbo manifold. If you notice though, there's a stud missing. I had to whip out the porta-torch and get that stud removed because I tried cutting it earlier and it didn't work, and man, that thing was rusted on there. But to the starter situation. So if you notice, the starter's no longer in the way. I was researching blah blah blah, and then I was like, man, TDI conversions couldn't have made it that easy for me. So I just came out here and unbolted it and then saw if I could rotate it down, and lo and behold, there's multiple spots where I can actually bolt this thing down. So I just turned it down a little bit. It shouldn't have any problem clearing the cross member, because if you look at where the motor mount lines up and where the starter lines up, the starter's still above that, so we should be good to go. Not 100% certain yet, but should be. If we're not, then I'll have to figure that out later. But got that done, got the exhaust manifold on, and then I clocked the turbo to where the air intake, so this would be the intercooler portion would come from. I clocked it so it would come right there, and I'll have to figure out, intercooler piping later. But, well, wait, am I stupid? Yeah, okay, so yeah, that would go from the turbo to the intercooler up to the intake of the vehicle. So, yeah, I am a little dumb, I'm sorry, but it's okay. And then I have to figure out a downpipe solution, but I'm just happy it fits. Still need to do a little bit of cleanup on it and that kind of stuff, but that's kind of the story of my life recently. Also, I went ahead and reused the original oil filter bolts. I couldn't get a clear explanation whether it's torque to yield or not. Some people are saying if it's a 12-point bolt, which this is an inverted triple square, I believe, then they're torque to yield. I torqued it and it yielded excellent results for me. So we're gonna run with it for now. Again, one day I'll build a motor for this, but what we're trying to do right now is just get it up and running. So next thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to go ahead and bolt the intake on. I'm going to use the aftermarket intake that I got. I don't know what it comes off of, but it's a VW intake, but it's not for this motor. And that's the original intake. They're essentially the same, except the other one is clean and this one is not. So we're just going to make it easy on myself and go that route. Hook that up. I got a new gasket over there to put on it, and then we'll start working on the transmission portion of it. So should be able to, with all hope, might be able to get this thing bolted all up today. So we're going to keep pushing right along. So intake, then clutch assembly, and then maybe we can put it in. Who knows? There she is in all her magical glory. So transmission slid right in, just a little wiggle, and it went straight in. I got one bolt up top, and then I got another bolt on the bottom, so they're about 180 from each other. So I'm okay with that for now. I've got the pitch, or the size and pitch of the thread or whatever that I need for the rest of the bolts. So I'll be getting identical bolts, one here, 2, 3, and then I'll be getting the same one that's on this bottom side here for this spot right here. There's nothing that goes right in there. Might end up doing some kind of bolt, I don't know. And then there's really nothing else that I can bolt to. So it's all just kind of, that's it. So you're gonna have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, 6 total bolts to hold the transmission in. But we're gonna go ahead, I'm sorry, I'm excited. So camera footage is probably not the best, but we're gonna go ahead and actually there's a little spot I need to touch up on the bottom here. of the where the transmission mount is, and then we're gonna toss that puppy in and then see how she looks. All right, so we shall continue. The TDI is in, but it's not all the way in. We do have a predicament. The wastegate manifold is touching this, which is the plate that's got a crap ton of shims in it for the the upper control arm. I was looking at it. I think I can just notch it out. But I think we're gonna have a bigger problem with the actual starter. I'm not 100% sure yet, because once I get this notched out, and maybe that wastegate will sit down a little further, it might be able to just kind of line everything, orient everything into position. But again, not 100% sure. So it might be a possibility we have to move the starter back up, and there might be a possibility that turbo is not going to hang out right there. So we might just have to go with a different turbo setup after all. I think the BEWs, from my understanding, they come out directly to the side, which probably end up being better anyways. But I was hoping to, not spend any money that I didn't have to on this. So I'm gonna try to notch it out a little bit. I'm just gonna cut like probably right there and down a little bit. See if I can just get a little bit of space for that wastegate to go in. Because I don't think that I can turn the wastegate. I'm not really 100% sure. Well, it's just, actually, the wastegate doesn't really matter where it sits. So I might just take the wastegate off and see how it sits, and then see if we actually need to move the starter back up in order to keep this turbo or not. So, yep, that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna remove that wastegate and see what happens. And there we have it. So all that crazy I was talking about with notching, I didn't have to do. I just simply moved the wastegate for now. Figure out something else with that later. But man, when I say this is a tight fit, I mean this is a tight fit. So my big concern was that starter. Let's see, I don't know if you can get a good look, but we're dealing with like not even a millimeter of clearance right there. And then maybe a couple centimeters of clearance on the front side of it. I think that I still might notch that area out just a little bit of the actual frame itself, so we don't cause any kind of damage. I mean, I could even shave off a little bit of that starter, whatever you call it, starter mounting bolt area too. Just a little bit, just enough to give me the warm and fuzzies. And then like over here, our motor mount is just, right there on the actual plate itself. So I don't know, we're gonna run it, we're gonna figure it out, see if it's gonna work. And then you got this over here, like just barely got enough room right there. But this is too big of a deal to me. I did go ahead and mount the transmission mount. I still got to bring this up a little bit. I'm probably going to take this off soon and try to, I got some new gas, so I might try to flatten it out a little bit more. I was running out of gas when I made this, so I had to really try to get it made. So yeah, it's in. Not perfect, but I mean, it'll do for now. And remember, I keep saying this is like, oh God. Let me see. Let's pause. Let's just pause. How about that? Okay, unpause. But anyways, what I was saying was, remember I keep saying this is version 1. That's because this vehicle is probably going to have a couple different variations to it at some point. You know, I'm going to eventually do all the beautiful body work, get a built motor, do a bunch of cool stuff. But right now I just want to get it in, get it running, prove that I'm not a complete buffoon. That's kind of the role of version 1. And plus it'd be cool to do some, like, you know, diesel stuff in the rain, because this thing isn't going to have enough power to do too much. But yeah, so I think it's ready, right? So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and order some bolts, or get some bolts that fit these motor mounts. I have to Google them, get that stuff going, and then do just a lot of work on the top end. So the oil relocation kit, which now that I look at it, I probably could have kept the original one on there, but oh well. Oil reload kit, oil feed to the turbo. Gotta rebuild the glow plugs, get those put in. I don't think I need to do anything with this right now. Got to figure out all my hose situations, so coolant hoses, etc. And then just start doing all the wiring. Once I get it all wired up and up and going, and all those kind of little kinks worked out, then we'll put a radiator in it. We'll put some coolant in it, and get that whole process going, and then go from there. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and end this episode. My dirty, a little bit. My hands are dirty. But yeah, I'll go ahead and end this episode of the Courier TDI swap. We'll do all those things that I just said on the next video, or 2 or 3, I don't know. I know some of y'all like parts, some of y'all just want one video that's straight to the point. I'm not YouTube balling or anything, so I want to keep making content, but I don't have like huge budget to do that. So my budget is $500 a month. That's my allowance that I get out of my paycheck. My wife gets the same allowance, and then the rest goes towards bills and family and all that good shit. So yeah, with that, go ahead and like, subscribe, comment, share, do all the things. Post it on the Twitters and on the Reddits and the Instagrams and those stuff, and start getting I want some comments in my videos. I really want comments, because I don't get any feedback. Granted, I'm small still, but like, I'll get 200 views and not a single comment. Like, nobody's interested at all. Nobody has something to say, even if it's smart ass remark. But whatever. With that, I'll just go ahead and say peace, and we'll see you next time.